What's up, everybody? We're back. Finally, another episode of the Last Wave podcast. Since it's been a while, I went ahead and just skipped straight to season 3. This will be episode 1. We're going over a couple different things today. Um, as you know, if you've listened before, the Last Wave podcast, we go over UFOs, conspiracies, paranormal, pretty much anything under the paranormal umbrella and anything around it, above it, anything to do with it. That's pretty much what we do here. So today I do have someone with me helping me out for episode 1. This is Hunter.
Howdy, folks.
And we're just going to go over some stuff and just have a nice little chit chat. Like I said, this is episode 1, so we're just getting back into it. So Hunter, what kind of drew you to the paranormal?
Well, I was raised Pentecostal. Well, we're going to start that out.
Okay.
So anybody from the South knows what that's like. Well, sort of, but, so when I finally got, out of my folks' house, I kind of went wild with it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm talking everything from getting books from the library to actually getting friends that were witches, or self-proclaimed witches and whatnot, and it just blossomed from there.
Yeah, and I think we're actually seeing that a lot. Like back, a couple years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, it was still kind of a taboo thing. But now it's like, just scrolling through TikTok, like I said, there's 30, 40 women on there doing tarot card readings, and there's young people talking about ancient history and truth and things.
Then like 10 years ago, you couldn't find tarot cards anywhere but specialty shops. Now they sell them right there at the front desk in Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, they sell them, especially Barnes & Noble. But, yeah, the witches and stuff like that is becoming far more popular. Part of me is kind of, fears it a little bit because there's so many people that are seeing it's popular and getting into it without really knowing the history and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So there is that bit of danger to it because someone, obviously you watch a couple episodes of Ghost Adventures and you think you can talk to the afterlife.
Oh, no.
So you go get a Ouija board and just start going.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
No, let's not. Let's not and say we didn't.
Right. So I do think there is that. But, again, we're seeing a lot of people that are finally coming back and awakening to this new kind of spiritual movement. It's almost like in the, the 1880-ish range where they started doing seances.
Oh, yeah.
All that, like, ectoplasm.
Mary Todd Lincoln was, I think, it was Mary Todd Lincoln, I think, that was that had seances in the White House.
Yep. She was very, very into it. And, that kind of tells you how upper level it goes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good that we have that nowadays. Again, back in the day, it was, especially the late 1800s, early 1900s, there seems to just be a lot of shift.
Yeah, it was really back then. It was really the providence of the super rich.
Yeah. You hosted a party
because they could pay people to to look the other way.
That's true.
And if you were rich, you just had eccentricities.
Yeah, eccentricities. Yeah,
eccentricities.
That's a pack word.
Yeah, and they went with it.
Yeah, they definitely did. They had, you're completely right. I never really thought about that. I guess anybody could, gather up some people, but it did seem to be more like we hosted it in the parlor.
Yeah,
we had everyone gather around for this party.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. Other than witches and stuff, what else are you into as far as paranormal?
I'm into cryptids. I was actually at one point, in my summers when I was a kid, I lived in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
And I was during the summer, I was really just, basically, I lived with a voodoo priestess during the summer.
Very cool.
And, not going to say her name.
Yeah.
But, and she was a Haitian voodoo priestess.
Oh, the real ones.
Yes, yes. Not some New Orleans back alley charlatan. No, I was in a Haitian house.
Yeah. My word.
Oh.
So you got plenty of background in the hoodoo, the voodoo, and the witchcraft. So that's cool. Like I said, that is definitely something good to have today.
I live with a conspiracy nut. So so if you name a conspiracy, I've probably heard something about it.
Right.
If I haven't looked into it myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, and well, anyone that lives with me lives with the same. So, but that's something. Again, that's something else too. That like, I mean, that's why I have got into more social media lately. Is because you're seeing people, again, like young people, like 20s, 25s, like, hey guys, you ever heard of this? You know, and it's something obviously conspiracy people have known about for 10, 15 years. But it's good to see people finally,
like they're waking up, but they're not woke.
Yeah, exactly. They're on the good path. You know, they're starting to. If we could just get people to question and to wonder about stuff, you know, that's the problem. Everyone is. We're looking at our phones. We're looking at our TVs. We're scared to death of the news.
Oh God! Don't get me started on the news.
If we could just wonder about stuff, you know, like just open your mind. That's really the best way to combat this stuff. So I know we talked a little bit. We were focusing on witches and stuff, which we can do as the focus of this episode. As I said, I do have, and if I've probably mentioned it in previous episodes for anyone who has been listening, the Bell Witch case, which is America's earliest reported haunting or like recorded haunting, is from the 1800s, like early. Like settlers, and it was out of Tennessee, and this family basically had this. They thought it was a poltergeist at first because it was making noises. It would make noises inside and around the house. It actually started. I'm gonna read the a clip from Wikipedia just to surmise it. The haunting began sometime in 1817 when John Bell witnessed the apparition of a strange creature resembling a dog. John Bell fired at the animal, but it disappeared, just vanished. John's son Drew Bell approached an unknown bird perched on a fence that flew off and was of extraordinary size. Now, I never heard that part before. That was new to me. The daughter Betsy observed a girl in a green dress swinging from the limb of an oak tree. One of the slaves of the Bell family reported being followed by a large black dog. Activity moved from outside with all these strange creatures and things to inside the house, where knocking was heard on the walls and the doors. The family heard sounds of gnawing on the beds, which sounds terrible. Invisible dog fighting sounds, chains.
Honestly,
all that. Yeah.
Honestly, that doesn't sound like a
witch.
A witch. That sounds like somebody made a deal and tried to go back on it.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like hellhounds. That's what it sounds like to me, and that's usually they're coming for
somebody,
right? But I mean, it went on, and I mean, the entity was even pulling hair, scratching people, and then it actually started giving like full fucking sentences. Apparently, like they were having full on discussions. Like it was like telling them things about the family. People would ask it. The story began to grow so much. People from town, people were reading it in the papers, and even Andrew Jackson sent people to go investigate this story. But apparently, on the way, their cart like fell apart, so they never got there. But I mean, this story is absurd. Like one of the family friends was alleged to have seen the spirit and thrown a blanket over it. And it was alleged to just stand there like a classic ghost, with a sheet. And he wrapped it up and allegedly threw it into the fire. And it's just all this shenanigans was happening. And while it was speaking, it would give different reasons. So it said, the entity would say it's a witch or a spirit sent from a witch. It also said, which is one of the other main stories of how it started, was that there was a disturbed Native American burial ground which is part of the story I heard. Like the
Mm-hmm.
boys of the family went into a cave, brought back a skull that they found. Yes, the classic,
what
classic
part?
story.
See, this is what I don't get. Is you go into sacred sites, hallowed sites, you effectively desecrate it, and you expect nothing to happen?
Yeah. Well, again, we know that. Like when I have paranormal people email me with questions and concerns, and like I had one that we investigated out toward Ashboro, where they were like, yeah, we had these buildings, and we thought they were old slave buildings, so we tore them down and used that wood on the house and all this stuff. And I'm like, do you want ghosts?
Because that's how you get ghosts.
That's how you get ghosts, 100%. So Native American burial ground.
Well, see, that's the thing with the Native American burial ground. And if there were natives in the area, the local shaman was probably the one that did it.
Yeah.
Because, quite frankly, those sites are gone to regularly by, or were gone to regularly by the natives. Mm-hmm. And it's just the fact that if something didn't happen paranormally, they were going to get killed either way. Because if the local natives found out about it, they were going to demand recompense.
That's true. So that is the part of the story that I have kind of always figured would be the more accurate, just based on everything that happened. But the other side of it, and allegedly the boys found this skull in a cave. They brought it home, and allegedly a tooth fell out and fell under the floorboard of the house. So they really couldn't get it out. But allegedly, the other side of it was that this spirit was sent by a woman in town named Kate Batts.
Okay.
And she was, as many women were then, if you lived by yourself, if you could read, if you could use some healing herbs, you were a witch.
Yeah.
You're the bad guy.
Yeah. If you could do math, you were a witch.
Yeah, exactly. So apparently, Kate Batts had some kind of infatuation with John Bell, the husband of the family.
Oh, Lord.
And she was unhappy whenever his daughter married some guy in town. And so, allegedly, she was sending the spirit to torment the family. And the spirit eventually, allegedly, did poison John and kill him. And then everything seemed to have settled down. And apparently, you can still go on tours today. That's like one of my top places.
Yeah.
But the connection I was telling you about, because it's connected towards, I don't want to give big family names or anything, but that's just it's like a couple hours up the road. It's in eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina. So that family lineage has kind of passed down into the North Carolina area.
Yeah.
And whenever Kate Batts actually, I seen a documentary years and years ago, whenever she remarried, her last name is a name that's attached to the other side of my family.
Oh, okay.
Now, thankfully, it's all by marriage and some intertwining BS, because the whole thing is the firstborn son of each generation dies horribly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, which would be me. So thankfully, it's by marriage and not, by anything else.
Yeah.
So I think that is, you have other witches. You got, what's that, the Bathory lady, I believe, I can't remember her first name, but she was the one that was bathing in blood. She's from, that was England, I believe.
Yeah.
Madame Laveau. You got some
Marie Laveau.
Laveau. Right. So you got your famous witches, but it seems today that we are getting more and more into the pagan witchcraft side, and there's still voodoo and hoodoo and stuff like that, but it definitely seems like we're getting into just the tarot. Because you can go scroll through TikTok Live right now. There's 493 women
doing
tarot, charging $5 to $15 a piece for tarot readings. So that's good, but you also, again, like I said, it's worrisome.
Yeah.
Because you can't
for me, it's worrisome, owing to the fact that a lot of these people are going to try something, not knowing what the heck they're doing.
Right.
And if they do that and they don't know what they're doing, they're going to let something out or in
right.
or whatnot, and it's just not going to be good.
Yeah. So, I mean, these things have like laws and strict rituals that you have to do if you're going to do a legitimate thing. Like if you sit down for a seance, you have to open it, you have to close it. A Ouija session, open it, close it. There's certain things that you can't, you can say, but you damn sure don't need to say.
Yeah.
Like, I'm open to talking to anything,
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. I mean, even if I'm out, just walking in nature, you got to be aware.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully people keep going, keep awakening. But again, there's that risk factor. And if you're listening to this, make sure you're reading up on it. Don't just go like.
And I mean, really reading up on it. Not like. Hate to say it. Don't go to Wikipedia and
exactly.
Just don't go to Wikipedia and just read that and then go, oh, I can do this now. No.
Yeah, people. There's tons of people that just they'll buy a thing of sage at the local smoke shop or something, and all of a sudden they're doing house blessings.
Yeah, no, don't do house blessings.
I mean, that's kind of the big warning to take away from it. Is just be safe whenever you're messing with this stuff. It's great. It's great to open your mind and to question and to look for answers in the universe, but there's a lot of things out there that you don't need to mess with. I mean, even like the apps. People are so
technologically.
Yeah, well, like you can have like there's ghost box apps on your phone, and I've tried some of them before. They're okay, but a lot of it, I see people online like, oh, I talked to my family, I talked to my dead friends, and this kind of stuff, and I'm like, it's an app you might have, but people get really into this stuff.
Yeah,
like they're like, this tarot card is gonna lead me for the next year of my life, and it's super cringy to see people asking pregnancy questions on TikTok. Like, that's why a lot of people put no pregnancy questions or no job questions or that, because you don't want to be wrong about that.
Yeah, no. And for me, it's like, don't ask. Tarot is not for specifics.
Yeah.
It's about a general course.
Yeah, it's metaphorical.
Yeah. Like, it's not, it's fortune, but not. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got to make it happen. It's not just going to happen to you.
That's right. That's true. That's true. It is. It gives you like it's spiritual GPS.
Yeah.
It gives you kind of a direction, but you've got
to do some of the work. You can't just, like in the what was it? The early 90s, all these people were going to these
psychic
people and losing thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not the be all end all.
No. I mean, you have to be aware. There's definitely going to be people out there, and if you're doing it, if you have a legitimate gift and you use it to make money, that's fine. But if you're out there tricking people, and scams there's more scams today than there ever has been in human history.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, people are going to be finding a way to scam this too, just like they would a phone call.
Yeah.
But let's see, what other kind of paranormal stuff can we chat about? What else are you into? Like you said you like cryptids.
Yes.
Now, I was going to do an episode on invisible hominids, and like a cloaked Sasquatch.
Okay.
Have you ever heard any of that?
I have not, but I've heard about the normal ones. We're talking Sasquatch, Yeti, Wendigo.
Now, so what's even more interesting about that? The Jersey Devil, of course. This invisible hominid situation is, and I say hominid because they're human shaped.
Yeah.
But what it is, imagine just the predator. You see that that distortion.
Yeah.
In wherever you're at, and these, I mean, I got sightings reported back in the 70s where this guy went hunting, and I may have discussed this already on the thing, but on the podcast, but it's just so freaking interesting. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But in the 70s, this guy went hunting, and he's miles out into his area.
Yeah.
There's trees. It's a foresty area. And he comes home early and reports and says that something was following him from the trees.
Yeah.
About 5 foot tall. You could just see that distortion.
Yeah.
And he wasn't sure what it was, but it followed him for miles, tree to tree, out. He said he could see that. And then a couple years later, he kept it a secret, told his wife. Other than that, he kept it a secret because he didn't want to seem crazy.
Yeah.
Years later, his son went to the same hunting ground, came back with the same report of some kind of creature that was tracking him.
Mm-hmm.
And he had no idea. His dad never told him.
Yeah.
So he told his mom, and then the story, they finally connected. So, I mean, these things go back not only to the 70s, but of course, back through history, there's all kinds of accounts of wild men. But this whole invisibility situation, this phenomenon, I believe it's fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of reports in North Carolina, actually.
Really?
I heard there was one up by the Bunker Hill Bridge.
Okay.
Which is not that far. Because what I did is probably the most insane thing ever when I was trying to start a paranormal group.
Yeah.
I put an ad on Craigslist.
Oh, God.
For stories and reports
and
anything.
God.
Exactly. It was, I should have wrote a book about it because there was a lot of craziness.
Uh-huh.
But one email I did get from Charlotte was this guy that said there's 2 or 3 of these things on his property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sadly, he stopped emailing me because I was darn sure ready to go.
Yeah.
I was definitely going to go look. So you got that one. And then just this year on Twitter, I don't know where it's at on Twitter now, but there was a video taken from Greensboro of these people in their backyard filming the trees, and the trees are moving. Like the tops of the trees, and you don't see what's moving them, but you can clearly tell. It would seem like
it wasn't wind or anything.
Yeah, if it was like an orangutan was out there jumping around from tree to tree, it was that forceful. And like some of the tree even fell. I mean, these people ran inside. They were like, forget this mess. So I don't know what these things are.
Well, I've heard similar reports of something similar, but not on the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
I used to live in Alaska.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there are just certain parts that the natives around there tell you don't go.
Oh, yeah.
But being dumbass kids, we go anyways. So I was on a hunting trip with some friends and their folks, and it was just like 3 or 4 of us. It wasn't anything too big. So we go up. We're talking. Southeast Alaska is on the border with Canada. Okay, so we're about maybe 50 miles from the border of Canada. Like we're deep in the woods.
Wow. Yeah.
We're on ATVs, whatnot, what have you. So we're going through there. We're there, I'd say about 8 hours before weird stuff starts happening. My friend walks up with a little what we later find out was a talisman.
God.
Just says, "What's this?" I was with one of my native friends, and their folks. So he was like, "Where did you get that?"
Oh no,
and I'm like,
"That's never good."
and he's like, "You put that back exactly where you found it. We have to go now."
Oh,
it took us a day to get out there. It took us half a day to get back.
Oh my God.
Because
was gone.
Well, see, no, you don't understand, and this is the creepy part. Is dead animals started showing up.
Oh gosh.
Because we took the same route out that we went in, because leave no trace, minimum, right? We started seeing dead animals. When we got back to about, I'd say, 100 yards from where we had the car parked, massive fucking moose, dead, gutted. Wow. And this wasn't a bear that did this.
Yeah.
This thing was gutted.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you could see the car from where the moose was.
Yeah.
And it's like, boys, we ain't coming back out here for a while.
No, my gosh. So what did he think the talisman was? Did he ever say?
They have an old, I don't remember the name of it, so I can't really go too much into it. But he said a name, and he said, that was put there because the old guy didn't really know, but he knew someone that did. He just knew that kind of thing you don't pick up. You leave where it's at.
Right.
And he went to tell the local elder, and the elder was like,
It's like, that's not good.
and no, and he told us a story and said, y'all need not go back out there.
Yeah.
Don't go back out there for the rest of your lives.
Shoot.
Because the elder went out there, apparently went out there, reconsecrated it, and I think he died like 3 years later. But of course, that's probably not related because he was ancient.
Right.
But no, he never told us exactly what it was that was out there. He just gave us a name. Mm-hmm. And for life of me, I can't remember the name.
It sounds like that. Have you ever seen the movie Antlers? It's a new movie.
No, I have not.
So that is exactly what happens in that movie, almost.
Really?
And it's about a Wendigo.
Oh.
And what it is like where the Wendigo is at first is like in this cave-esque area.
Yeah.
And these guys they're setting up like a meth lab. But because it's like, and it's not Alaska. It's
let me guess. It's somewhere in the Midwest or.
Well, it's like I can't remember if it's like Oregon or Maine.
God.
It's somewhere very mountainous, cold,
okay,
dreary. So it might be Alaska. I can't remember at this point. But anyway, they're going back in this old mine that's abandoned because that's what they were using for their lab, and they see this tunnel that's got all these bags, all these talisman bags.
Oh yeah.
And hex bags hanging from the ceiling. They go back there. One guy gets bit. He starts turning into it, and his son locks him at home. It's a really hard story. Like it's gruesome, but but he starts turning into Wendigo, and that's what the kid puts a hex bag on the door. Yeah. So he can't leave the room. So that's exactly, and they eat.
What thing is this on?
HBO Max. I think. Oh, okay. It's really good. It's Guillermo del Toro. The guy.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, it's a super great movie, but just like you're describing, he eats whatever because when you're a Wendigo, you're always hungry.
Yeah, because the lore behind that is the first Wendigos were from Native American tribes.
Yeah.
And during the winter, and you know the classic story about it's winter, they've ran out of food. What do you do?
Yeah.
You eat the sick and dying. But that's the thing, is if you eat some of them after the winter, yes, it was a horrible thing, but if you do it just to survive, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But some of them developed a taste for it.
Right.
And the ones that developed a taste for it became the first Wendigos. Because doing it to survive in a desperate, you have no other options, that's one thing.
Yeah, it's almost forgivable, but if you keep doing it.
But if you keep doing it afterwards, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's when the curse starts.
Yeah, and you're always hungry. You're craving more because it comes into the thing of power. Because doing that in every culture, literally eating another person's flesh, grants you their power, supposedly.
Right. That's a very I feel like it's a very African voodoo thing, deep African voodoo kind of stuff.
Well, it is, but there's also in South American and North American and not Far East Asia, but kind of Mongolian area.
That's true. It does seem to be a pervasive. Now that you talk about it, it does seem to be you eat the heart of your enemy.
Yeah.
It does. That's kind of interesting that is something.
That was the whole thing with the Aztecs.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
Incan and Mayan, not so much, but Aztecs. Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay, so slight detour. There's a book called Age of Aztec that basically the thing with it, the whole premise of it is what if when the conquistadors got to South America, they found a civilization far more advanced than theirs, not far more primitive.
Right.
And basically there's one scene in the book where it's modern day, but they still have the Aztec temples and whatnot in every major city.
Oh wow!
And each festival day or whatever there's a line of supplicants ready to get their And
Is is there other books, Age of something?
Yes.
Yeah, I have read those. I've read the one that's I think it's like the Greek gods.
Okay.
So I have
Age of Olympus or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, and it's a mix of that.
Yeah.
It's like if they were like genetically created and then they changed.
Yeah.
Chose to become the gods and
yeah.
So that is a good book series. I don't remember who wrote that, but that series is freaking great.
Oh, it is. It is.
I do love that series. Anyway, back on the Wendigo thing and the cryptids. That is very true, and the hex bag thing is exactly what they do in the movie, and it eats whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one there's 2 or 3 things I do not research.
Yeah.
Wendigos, because they are legitimately frightening.
Yeah. Oh,
and if it's a Native American legend, I tend to believe there's a bit of truth.
Yeah.
And black-eyed kids, because if you research them, they start showing up. Forget that mess.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of those? It's the kids with just the black eyes, and they'll show up at your house. They'll show up, and no one knows what they are.
I'm just saying, they show up at my house, and they have saucers for black saucers for eyes. I'm shooting first, asking questions later.
Well, they allegedly ask you to, can I come in?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Wham, door slam.
No. But there is a nice drug dealer 3 doors down that would love to have you.
Direct them that way. Oh gosh.
Oh, and whatever you do, I did this once. A stench of rotting meat followed my car for like 2 hours afterwards.
God, what did you do?
I yelled "Old Wendussy."
What?
So there was a TikTok,
and
it showed a guy basically getting drugged into the woods, and it said, "When the Wendigos are hormonal," and you were yelling about Wendussy.
Oh, okay. I got you. That might go over some of our listeners, but some of them are gonna get it.
Yeah, and don't do that. Don't do that in the woods. Don't do that. Don't do that while you're driving through BFE nowhere.
Yeah, do not.
Don't do that. Don't yell "Old Wendussy."
Don't test the Wendigos.
They don't have a sense of humor.
No, I don't imagine they do. And again, they always so. I feel like Wendigos are their own thing.
Yeah.
And then you have Bigfoot and
Dogman.
Dogman.
They're some people say they're the same thing. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Like Bigfoot, he's just chilling. Yeah. He doesn't care. He just wants food, be happy, shit in the woods.
That's it.
That's it.
I think Bigfoot and a report of regular hairy hominids can be because there's just too many reports.
Too many reports for there not to be something.
Got to be something. I mean, even the pygmy people in South America and stuff like that.
There's a whole, and that's another thing for me. You get me on the topic of South America, I can go on a rant. But South America, there's a plateau that I don't remember which government it was. I'll have to look it up. But the government has labeled that plateau completely off limits to humans. Some people say that's the last vestige of dinosaurs on the planet.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Some people say that's where there's a tribe there.
Yeah.
Some people say that.
Could be.
Yeah. Some people say it's a nuclear. That's basically where the Nazis, what's left of the original Nazis are.
That's also possible because the Nazis did go to South America.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole literal German-style town in South America.
Yeah, and you don't go there if you're not white.
Right. If you go, we'll have to direct to some other episodes.
Yeah.
For that, because we can go on South America for a bit of stuff. And maybe we'll do that in a minute for the next episode.
Yeah.
But as far as this episode, we went over the witches. We got to know you a little bit, Hunter, and what you're into. I think that's pretty good. I mean, we're at 35 minutes for episode 1, so that's pretty much good. We can do another episode. But as far as this, I appreciate everybody listening. Hunter, do you want to say anything to anybody before we go?
Well, thank y'all for, like you said, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for putting up with me.
Oh, yeah.
But and don't once again, don't yell window seat.
Yeah, don't test the Wendigos. Is the parting message for
Yes.
today. Stay safe out there. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.